Well, hello there, and welcome to That Fantasy American Football Podcast with myself, the Commish, and my two tagged and tendered co-hosts, the Statman and the Fantasy Villain. How are you doing today, lads?
Get in there, Commish. You got it right, didn't you? 49 shows, and you managed to reel that off word for word. Bonus.
Yeah.
Well done. Excellent.
Yeah, pro.
Top of the class. Pro
here.
We're there.
Yeah. All pro. How about you, Villain? How are you doing today?
Tagged and tendered. Didn't realize we were part of the 49ers now, but that's awesome. That's super exciting news. We have got so far up. We are now a franchise. Whoa!
It just means I don't intend to negotiate your contracts at any point, but you can't go anywhere. And that's the way it's going to stay.
Pay us the square root of fuck all. Thanks very much.
Yeah, now, basically that's.
Now we're 49ers. Do we just go looking for running backs?
We just
accumulate them.
We're going to have 62 different hosts, and everyone's going to do about 5 meters worth of work.
Yeah, and then if one of us has an exceptional show, we're going to get benched next week.
That's right. That's how it works. Yeah.
Or fall over, get injured.
Yeah.
Before we go into today's show, which is going to be talking about free agency, a quick reminder to follow us on Twitter at TFAFP, on Instagram via that FAF podcast, and subscribe on all podcast services as well as the YouTubes. And make sure you stay up to date with all of the off-season shenanigans. But before we talk free agency, and boy, are we going to talk free agency, time for some news. I will get the hang of faders at some point in the next 5 years. It's a real
shows, I reckon.
Yeah, it makes a mockery of the fact that I've got a BTEC in studio sound engineering. Woohoo! So, news, whilst we were on our brief hiatus, doing various things that'll be at the back end of the news, we obviously had one bit of big quarterback news, some fantasy relevant quarterback news. Carson Wentz went to Indianapolis. It's almost as if one of these incredibly handsome people called that. Instantly said 100% was going to happen. No, he's going to the Bears. Yeah, he was definitely going to go to the Colts. But the question I have for you, and I'm going to put it to you first, Statman. What does this mean for fantasy football?
Oh, do you know what? This is good for fantasy football, particularly if you're a Colts fans, because it is the plan. I think working with Frank Reich will improve. He was obviously absolutely dreadful. He was the worst quarterback in the league last year. He needed to get out of that situation. I think Frank Reich is the one that will get him back on track. He's on a team. When asked initially that someone said, will Carson Wentz make the Colts relevant? No, he won't. The Colts will make Carson Wentz relevant. They are a great team, great organization, and I think he will be good enough to certainly get them in the sort of conference title conversation next year.
I mean, yeah, second place, obviously. Villain, how are you feeling about not just Carson, but he's supporting cast in terms of fantasy? Basically, what I'm asking you both is this good news for Paris Campbell?
Yeah, I think it's good for the wide receivers there. If you can get anywhere near that 2017, 2018 Carson Wentz playing for your team, then you're going to do okay. I think that there's talent there in the wide receivers. There's talent, loads of talent in the running back position. It's completely ridiculous how much there is now. And that defense is so good. And the offensive line is so good. Basically, any quarterback should be able to play in Indianapolis because the O-line is so good. So It's great news for Carson Wentz. I think it's only terrible news for one player, Jacoby Brissett, because he's not going to get that third down sneak ever again. It's not happening. He should go back to the Patriots.
So interestingly enough, I actually fell down one of my many off-season things. I fell down an O-line rabbit hole. I love O-line. It's my favorite position in football. Quentin Nelson is by far the best O-line player out of any position. I was literally watching him mid-block pick up a potential sack, push the guy off with one hand, then pivot round, tackle the guy that was about to hit Phillip Rivers. and then kind of stand up and just shrug it off at the end. Q is one of the best players in the league. And
they keep talking about moving him to the left tackle as well, don't they? Just through he is that good, but I love him to stay where he is, and they could just maybe. I think they could probably do first rounder and pick up a.
I can see the logic though, because to get a left tackle of that caliber is very, very, very hard to do. And if you've got a player that can play at a high level, even if it's not their normal position, go for it. Whereas replacing someone in a guard position, a little bit easier because any one of those three can kind of cover that position in the center. So I think if they're going to do it, it's because they can't find it. They've got to replace, what's his name? Costanzo.
Costanzo, yeah. Well,
Costanzo.
Tony
Cascarino.
If they've got the cap space, they could be looking at someone like Trent Williams, who's just come available. But that'll probably be a good fill, I think, on the left side. Then
Q will stay at guard because here last year on the Busting with the Boys podcast, he came on and he actually said in that conversation he doesn't understand. Like, people think these positions are interchangeable, and he said to Taylor Lewan, "I couldn't play left tackle just as much as you couldn't play left guard," and Roger Safford was just coming into the Titans, so talking him up and about his play. So, I think he's a phenomenal player, though. I actually think it's one of those things where I'm excited for Wentz because of that O-line, and I'm excited for Jonathan Taylor because of Wentz, because I think that opens him up. And obviously, I'm always excited for Naheem Hines because Hines means points. So talking...
No, he doesn't.
Moving from moving from somebody coming to the AFC South to somebody leaving the AFC South, and he's not a fantasy player, but obviously we need to talk about the big man, JJ Watterisa, JJ Watkinson. He is now a Cardinal. Does this have any fantasy impact, Villain?
I mean, if you've got a quarterback in the AFC and you're going against the Arizona Cardinals, then you might as well slap him on the bench because they're about to get absolutely devastated by one of the most intense defensive lines you've ever seen. I'm more curious about going on to Pro Football Reference and finding out JJ Watt's nickname is the Milkman. I think it's because he's from West. I think it's because he's from Wisconsin, but I like to think it's because he's gone around shagging everyone's mum.
Yeah, okay.
Personally, I think there is a little bit more fantasy impact than the NFC West, who are going to be absolute. Russell Wilson, poor.
He's going to be crying in his big fat pillow, isn't he?
He's going to be crying into his attractive, successful wife, I imagine. Poor
big fat pillows. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think Russell Wilson is going to. I believe the Seahawks are supposed to be playing the Cardinals twice. They played them twice, don't they?
They do division.
Yeah, so I think Russell Wilson trading out of the conference is likely to happen now. He doesn't want that to happen.
Doesn't want any part of that.
But Baker, Chandler Jones, and JJ Watt chasing after him all day long with his atrocious O-line.
That's just a horrendous division, isn't it? When you think you got Aaron Donald for the Rams, it's just my word.
So I think this has fantasy impact for Cardinals players, because I think this is good and bad. The team has become better. They were top 3 in terms of amount of plays actually played last year, amount of snaps taken, offensive snaps taken last year. The pace of play that they were top 3. All of those things will slow down if you've got a top quality defense, or other thing is that defense can be so good at getting the other team off the field that increases. So we don't know what it's going to be at the moment. My gut instinct will be better defense, slower offense, but I would be excited to see them still continuing to play off tempo. So like JJ Watt, Chandler Jones, Buda Baker, not Harrison Reddick, who definitely should be a Titan next year. Just saying.
Watt's going to be knackered, isn't he? He's on the field.
Get everybody off the field, like defense off the field, and then straight on. They're doing the plays they're running, and it's like 4.5 minutes per average drive to touchdown that they had. It was so ridiculous like that. And then they're back on the field. Like JJ Watt's going to be blowing out of his arse by the end of it. That's what I can say.
It's a bit of a surprise, though, wasn't it, team?
It was.
Yeah,
it was. I wasn't expecting it. I should have noticed it. I know Nook was kind of canvassing to get him over there, and I thought, yeah, there's no way he's going there. And then sort of Bills and Packers were all also the ones that were up there.
CP3, for those who follow basketball, he's a big friend with Chris Paul, who, when he was at the Rockets, gave a huge amount of money to JJ Watt's Hurricane Relief Foundation. He now plays in Arizona.
The Phoenix Suns, yeah.
So I think there was a lot. And also, if you've seen the size of houses you can get in Arizona compared to what you get in Houston.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury dropped a tenner.
Yeah.
Dropped a $5 on it. He was like, go on then, let's have it. I think one more thing with JJ Watt going to the Cardinals, it was a great day for the experts being trolled. It was just so good. It's like, I think it was about 30 minutes before JJ Watt said, I'm going to the Cardinals. And it was like, insiders say only the Bills and Packers remain in with a chance of JJ Watt.
Yeah.
Nothing. I reckon Green Bay were like, yes, can't wait for the press. Wisconsin boy coming back. This is going to be amazing. I believe one magazine had an entire page, an entire spread ready to drop.
I had him going to the Packers. I had it locked in going to the Packers. But then I go back to 4 years ago and I had Clay Matthews locked into be coming back to the Titans. And those stories only make sense in Narrative Street, not in the real world.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Final bit of news before we talk free agency. And it's a bit self-centered, but today's the day. FantasyAmericanFootball.co.uk goes live. Yeah, all of those trumpets. So it is live. It has favicons. It has various other bits and pieces. It's even had the page titles updated to be SEO friendly. That's what it literally click a button, get an SEO expert as well. I think you're third. But it looks great. It is chocked full of articles on there. I've written a novella that is Dynasty 101 about dynasty drafting, trying to explain to you, our British and European audience, about college football. It's about 5,000 words long. It could have been 50,000 words long if I just kept talking about college football. The Statman has made some incredible articles looking back on last year, looking forward to this year. He's been sharing his magic formulas for you. And the villain has written an article. Yeah, well, you're screwed now. The villain has written an article which sounds like it could be on a different website because it's talking about sophomore sluts, not slumps. Sophomore slumps.
Sophomore humps.
Yeah, copy and pasted from that other site.
Just be very careful if you're typing it in, if anyone's looking over your shoulder. Sophomore SL. I'll quickly fill in.
I did actually think about that. Like, you're typing it in, it's like, got to very, very quickly type those first 23 characters.
So basically, there's so much stuff on there from day one. You can dive into it. You've probably got 2-3 weeks, but it doesn't stop at day one. We're updating it, obviously, with the podcast, the YouTube videos, everything else that we've got going live. We're updating it with new articles. We're going to be doing some previews. We're going to be talking about what the fallout from free agency is, I imagine. We're going to be talking about some previews for some of the players coming into the draft. And then, obviously, we'll talk about afterwards where they've landed. Has a team completely ruined them? Has a team, picked them up? Are we going to get another Keyshawn Vaughn where we're all basically covered in our own sticky mess and then he did nothing?
Spooky ghost.
So
much ectoplasm.
there's a lot of stuff left to talk about, and you're looking at 3 guys here who cannot get enough of talking about fantasy football. It's a problem. One day we'll have to see somebody about it, but what is it going to be? What are you going to do about it apart from do a podcast? And unless there's any news that you guys want to talk about, we've already talked about Matt Stafford. We don't really want to touch upon the Wilson rumors to the Raiders because it's disgusting, it's sick, and it's wrong.
Oh yeah, that'd be awful.
Although I do really, really appreciate that one of the people going for it with like how much it makes sense. Wilson to the Raiders was David Carr.
Screw my brother.
He has since edited that article, but originally it was like just slagging off the stats of Derek, and it's like, no, buddy, no.
It's interesting in one way. If Watson ends up at the Broncos and the Raiders end up with Wilson, So all of a sudden in that division, you've got Herbert, Mahomes, Wilson, and Watson. Yes, we know he's going to the Panthers. Don't worry. Just but there are a lot of teams clearing out cap space. It's going to be really interesting. We'll update you when we've got actual news. But these, we've all talked about it ourselves. These bullshit trade packages that mean nothing to nobody. We've got no time for those.
I find myself thinking about Deshaun Watson trade packages when I'm in the shower, like washing my hair, and I'm just like, oh, CMC plus.
Did you see that horrible one on that daily show in America that's in the morning, and it's quite good, where they were talking about the trade package from the Jets that they were going to put in. It would be Darnold, it was going to be Quinn and Williams, it was going to be Mims as well. Both first rounders for this year for what I was just thinking, man, if I'm the Jets, I'm not giving that up. Doesn't matter how good the quarterback is. I mean, that's an awful lot to give up.
I'm a dynasty owner of Sam Darnold, and I'm a dynasty owner of Jameis Winston. They're two people I care about. And one of them, we're going to talk about with our free agency primer. That's right. Free agency is but a week away. We're going to have a whole podcast next Thursday to talk about it, because there's no point talking about free agency before it happens, which is what we're doing now. So this is pointless.
2 weeks away. 2 weeks away, not next week, week after. 2 weeks away.
Oh, blimey, it is 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
This year. What are you going to do? So it's 2 weeks away. We're going to do the show on the 18th of March. We're going to have a podcast to talk about where they've landed, if anyone's gone, or people. Maybe it's going to be one of those years when nobody moves. But it's going to be an exciting 2 weeks for that. So we want to talk about all the people that could affect you, especially in Dynasty. Who are you on tenterhooks for? I personally, Jameis Winston's on the list, but let's go through it position by position, have a stab, have a guess, talk about where we want them to go, just because why the F not? So first of all, we're going to talk QBs. Nice, easy one for you. Going to lay up a softball for you. Dak Prescott. Where do we see Dak Prescott going in free agency? Statman.
Same where he is. Franchise tag. He's not going anywhere. They'll work through an extension eventually for him, but he's staying where he is. I would love to see him. I'd love to see a big swap, actually, like a nice Texas swap there where he goes off to Houston, Watson the other way. That would be hilarious. That would be so good.
Why are you going to do that to our boy Dak? Villain, where do you see Dak going?
He's staying at the Cowboys, and personally, I don't think $37.7 million is bad for taking a year out and having a contract to come back to. I mean, there's every chance the team could have been like, "You're injured, you're done for," but still getting that almost $40 million. I'd be pretty set on that.
Back this year, and then they'll work something out. They'll work something out in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. We may, maybe we'll see a Dak Darnold swap. Who knows? But it's no, 100%.
You really cocked that one up. Can you switch it around the other way and make it funny?
Donald Duck.
It's a Donald Duck. Oh, come on.
That's why you're the funny one.
You're the funny one. Yeah.
But it's going to be a tag. It's going to be a deal. I don't think it's even a tag and trade candidate at this moment. Dak should be a Cowboy for life. And I'm sick of all these pundits that say Dak's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. Fuck you. Dak is a great quarterback.
Timothy. As good as Troy Aikman and Tony Romo.
Tony Romo sucks. He's a great commentator.
Great analyst.
Unbelievable chess player as well.
Terrible.
Not bad at golf, apparently.
Yeah, none of those things are a good quarterback. Next on my list, and I'm deciding the importance on this, I've seen this guy as low as 10th on the most important quarterbacks. I've seen him below Tyrod Taylor, and that's Mitchell Trippisky, the Nickelodeon most valuable player. That's right, he is a free agent. He stepped it up towards the end of the season with the Bears, but villain, where do you see Mitchie T being?
I see him staying at the Bears. I'd quite like to see him at Denver. I was interested that he's not throwing a single interception.
Yeah, because he doesn't throw the ball. he overthrows them by 60,000 meters.
It's not throwing a pick. It's a sexy stat, though. But I could see him just staying at the Bears. Honestly, I don't think anyone else is going to go in for him, and I don't think the Bears have a better option. They've been pretty shitty in the market. Like, they've not been competitive for Matt Stafford. They've not been mentioned highly for Watson like everyone else. I mean, their names in everything. The Bears get thrown everywhere. I just don't see them making a play. I don't think Matt Nagy has the balls on him to take that kind of risk. I think
what about Alex Smith now that he looks like he's going to come available? If Nagy's obviously got history with him, do you think you might bring him in?
Yeah, sure. Mitch can play behind. Mitch and him can have a competition. I think Nick Foles is done for. I think everyone realized it was a fluke.
Nick Foles is tied to Chicago. You can't do anything. That contract means that you can't cut him where he is. So I'm going to ask you first, Statman, and then I know where I think Mitch is going to be next year, and it's not the Bears. Where have you got him going?
I think it will be the Bears. I would not be surprised if he's like a reclamation project. Perhaps goes across to Massachusetts, perhaps get hold of him and try and do something with him. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes there, but I think he'll be the Bears.
I've got him down as being a Patriot.
Have you? You have? Okay.
I don't. They won't tag and trade him because they won't want to risk not having a trade candidate and having to pay him a bunch of money. No, they're not going to tag him. So I think they will let him go if they have identified, and I believe because for the Pats, I've either got the Pats drafting Mac Jones or taking Mitchell Trubisky, and I think there's scope for. I don't know. I saw him being a Pat last year, so I'm just doubling down on what I said last year. So moving on to Mitch. To someone who does not have a no interception stat, Jameis Winston. He's literally the opposite of no interceptions. Statman, where have you got Jameis landing and spending his 2021 season?
He's a toughie. We know the Saints want him, but they want him at the right price. That's the thing. I think they'll get him. I'm not sure who else would come in and offer him the sort of money that he's looking for. So I think he'll be quite happy staying there under Sean Payton, under whatever he gets offered in the end. I think he'll probably get a 2-year contract out of Sean Payton to keep him going. They're really struggling on that cap number. If they can sort that cap number out and get him in under it, then sure, he'll stay there. I can't really see anybody else coming. I don't know what sort of interest there'll be out there for him. Not sure.
My only concern with that is the hype videos of Drew Brees working out in the off-season.
That's bizarre, isn't it? Seeing how hard he's playing on that.
So weird.
Mental. Yeah.
So you've got him. If the Saints can't get the money, have you got any backup plans for him?
Oh, I'd love to see him go to Denver.
Oh, you're on YouTube now, so they can see you emblazoned in full black and silver. To know how that really hits home. Yeah. So no, there's no legitimate place for him other than the Saints, is he? Unless Villain, have you got one?
No, there's no legitimate place, but how fun would it be to have Derek Carr go to the Saints, him go to the Raiders, and the Raiders have both the disappointing quarterbacks from their draft class?
No, he's not coming out.
John Gruden's like, I've seen the college tape. I've seen the college tape on both these players, and it's exceptional.
Gruden is on record of not liking Winston. I can't think of a starting opportunity that he could really get into at all. I can't think of anything out there. Not really.
I think he just needs to sit there and wait until halfway through the season, everyone realizes Drew Brees really does not have an arm anymore. It's gone.
No, I still don't think Drew is coming back.
I think he will retire.
I think he's retiring. I also think Winston is going to be a Saint next year. It's obvious that Taysom Hill is not a quarterback.
He's not an all-round quarterback. He's not. I don't think
he's not a fucking quarterback.
Not for 17 games could he do it? No way.
No, I don't see that going well for him. So I think we're all in agreement. Jameis is a Saint or Jameis is done in the league, basically. That's the only way to go through it. He'll be playing for the Toronto Argonauts next year. Speaking of somebody who is never going to be done in the league, where do we think Fitzmagic's going next year? I've got an answer for this. Do either of you have an answer for this?
The Houston Texans.
Go Texans.
They just let go of Josh McCown, just replace him with the next one in line.
Right. It's better, Houston. Isn't that one of his 15 stops he's had before?
It is on his
Yeah, he kind of has to go back, right?
No, I would say I wouldn't be surprised if he could end up somewhere daft like the Eagles and put a bit of pressure on Jalen Hurts.
I've got Fitz
Go on.
having a tandem with Mitchie T in Boston. I've got them bringing them both in and literally saying, Fitz, you be coach, tutor, Fitzmagic, you can win us some games. Let's see if you can rub off on Mitchie T. And
Fitzmagic has a fan base there as well. He went to Harvard, so he's got that Massachusetts
He's got
connection.
a fan base everywhere.
He never mentions it.
No, I only knew it from the great...
So we've lost the villain's mic there at the moment, it seems, but we're going to move on to someone that the villain probably doesn't want to talk about, and the Statman and I can carry this over, and that's the person who's currently at the Patriots, or was at the Patriots, Cameron Thaddeus T. Newton.
He is being talked up big style still by old Billy B. He still seems to like him. I'm wondering whether they might just try and bring him back. I thought he looked absolutely shot. It didn't look like he was capable of doing that offense. But yes, if you've got a proper full off season and all the other bits and bobs, and then his brain works a bit quicker, he could maybe get some of these passes off. But I think it's his arm strength that was the question, and he's obviously still able to run it. He had a few TDs on the ground and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I could see he could potentially stay with an off season, but I don't know, he just didn't look a good quarterback to me when he was there. So I don't know. And maybe he could go to the Washington football team. Maybe they would be interested.
That's where I see him. I see him at the Washington football team. I'm going to speak for the villain here as well. I think he sees him. He's back. He's back. He's back.
I just wasn't talking.
I never went. I didn't go anywhere.
I didn't. I can see him at Washington as well, because then that's Ron Rivera with Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, and Taylor Heineke in the same locker room. Exactly what he had in his last year at the Panthers.
that one that he got fired from. Yeah.
I don't think he was right to. I don't think he was necessarily right to lose his job in Carolina. I think it was a whole new management team in there, and they were like, you know what, let's just start from scratch. And Matt Rule, he's going to do great things at the Panthers, especially if you keep everyone's filthy mitts off Joe Brady. He's going to do amazing things there. I just think it was the right time, and I think every time Ron Rivera goes back to Carolina, they're going to love him. So I just think he knows what he likes. He liked all those players. He likes Kyle Allen. He likes Taylor Heineke. And he knows that Cam was the leader of that locker room. Even when he was injured, he was on the sideline screaming, running onto down the sideline, giving them high fives and chest bumps and everything every time they scored. So I think it could be such a good fit, and I think Ron could get him on the cheap as well. So,
and that's the whole thing. I think because obviously I've got Mitch and Fitzmagic going to both be in Boston. There's no room for him at Foxborough. I've got him at Washington football team. Don't tell me you hate the idea though. Like, come on, Mitchell Trippisky and Fitzmagic in Boston. That's a winning combination for me. Okay, other three that I've listed down officially as who cares? Andy Dalton, who cares? Jacoby Brissett, who cares? Tyrod Taylor, who cares?
All backups. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor, he's off to Detroit, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't see any of these things being. So what we do care about is running backs. There's a good list of running backs. I'm going to start with, I know a fair few people are going to have him in Dynasty. I'm really hoping for him to do somewhere because he's got a lot left in the tank. Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
That man. Location.
I think there's a couple of options. I think Miami will be looking at him, and I think Arizona will be looking at him as well. Still, I keep reading the Dolphins aren't sold quite on Gaskin being a full-time guy. And we know that Aaron Jones is a committee guy. He's very efficient. He does a lot with the amount of carries he gets. You're only looking at 220, 250 a year tops for Aaron Jones. So to combine those two, so an Ahmed as well as a backfield, I think that looks great. We know that Drake is not going to stay at Arizona. He's going to be a free agent. We'll probably talk about him in a bit. So I think that's another option, another place for him to go. Where he's got a bit of time, bit of committee stuff going on again with Edmonds. So and Benjamin as well. So he's there. So I think those are quite good slots, and I don't think the Packers will really want him to necessarily go. I think they're thinking about doing a franchise tag on him because it wouldn't be that expensive this year compared to some of the others. So they may try and keep him. But if they don't and they want to use that tag on other players, then that's the sort of place I think he might go.
He is a candidate for the transition tag, I think, more so than probably anybody else on the list. But I think if they do, I believe if he's transition tagged, somebody can match the offer sheet. Yeah. And then if that's the case, I think somebody will match the offer sheet. And I kind of think that might be literally going coast to coast, Seattle. I just think he fits the mold in Seattle, and he is at that price point. Yeah. So he's got more gas in his tank. Villain, have you got a potential landing spot for Aaron Jones?
Yeah, I think he's going to end up at polar opposites of America somehow. So he's either going to be in Seattle. I love the fit in Seattle. I don't think they're happy with what they've got out of Chris Carson, Rashad Penny. Who else is there?
DJ Dallas.
DJ Dallas. There's so many.
Travis Homer.
Homer. That's why I was thinking Mo. Drinking. I just don't think they're happy with what they've got there. I can see him in Miami. However, I think that in Miami they're more likely to draft someone because they've got 450 first round picks this year, which is really exciting. Jacksonville.
Ooh.
Why not?
I don't know.
They've only got Jimmy Robinson.
Yeah. For me, I think Miami are going to part of their youth revolution that they've got going on there is I do think they genuinely are. Then the number one I've got for Najee Harris.
Najee Harris?
Yeah, Najee Harris every time. But yeah, so two of the other people I've got on this list we've just mentioned. So who do you want to do? Hotline Bling or Johnny Carson?
Hotline Bling.
Really big shoe. We got a really big shoe.
Johnny Carson.
Can we call him either Hotline Bling or O Malfoy?
Oh, Malfoy. Oh, nice. So we're going to talk about Drake was obviously given he was on the franchise last year, wasn't he, with the Cardinals, or did he just do a 1 year deal in the end? 1 year deal.
He had a 1 year deal, I think.
Yeah, prove it deal. Did he prove it? Did he fuck?
Yeah.
He had the opportunity. Yeah.
He proved that he's not good. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're a big fan, Villain. Where do you see him? Is he coming into the Panthers to replace CMC?
To replace Mike Davis.
Yeah.
I don't know because if you're looking at everyone's RB1s around the league, I think he's not as good as any of them. So
he's not an RB1.
I don't see where he'd go as an RB1. I mean, there's a lot of places that could use a decent RB2 to kick their RB1 up the arse. So take your pick of about 26 teams in the league where he could end up. But he's not going to be an RB1. I don't know if he'll be fantasy relevant next season. That all depends on where he lands, really. So if you're a Kenyon Drake owner in Dynasty, I would probably just drop him.
It'd be interesting to see what happens to him, actually, because he might think that he deserves a lot of money and he might hold out trying to get that deal and then kind of miss out on all the slots. And then he's like, oh, who was it? There was someone last year, I can't think who it was, that did this kind of same. Was it Fournette off? No, because he got cut late, didn't he? There was someone out there that...
Le'Veon Bell did it the year before.
Yes.
Melvin Gordon, and then he... But
I think there was someone who left it late, didn't they? And they just didn't get the deal that they thought they were going to get.
There's always
Gordon. He got not as much as he was expecting at all.
There's always kind of just tragic stories out there. To me, Drake is just Tevin Coleman, and therefore I don't care. So where do you think Chris Carson's going? It's my Johnny Carson impression. I'm really
Jacksonville Jaguars. He's actually who I have going to the Jaguars.
Really? Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd work. It'd kind of work.
bit of competition for James. I think James Robinson had a great season. I would be worried to be using him in the same capacity he was used last year. I think Chris Carson needs healthy competition. I think James Robinson needs it. And I think they'd also be quite a good 1-2 punch. I also think Urban Meyer doesn't give a shit who's on his team. He's going to put whoever he wants on his team. And if he likes the look of a running back, he hires racists. He doesn't give a shit.
He's going to find who he has to pay the least, and that's the Urban Meyer way.
He reminds me of the sort of back that Pittsburgh would like, the sort of bruising back that they're after. I think Pittsburgh would be a good place for him. He wouldn't have to do it quite full time. They've got McFarlane there and Benny Snell and whatever.
I see him there. Philly, the other P in the league.
Really?
I see him with Philly.
They've just what's it called? Unrestricted tag or whatever on Boston Scott and Greg Ward. Basically, the one where they can
transitional tag.
Yeah, they're free agents.
The exclusive one, the exclusive for
Philadelphia, which I don't understand. That makes no fucking sense to me. You're free, but if you want to go somewhere, it has to be us.
It was actually put in place to protect the players. So basically, they've got a deal on the table, and if nobody matches that deal, they've got a contract for the next year. That's why it was done in CBA. I've got Carson in Philly. To me, he's that kind of Carlos Hyde, Jordan Howard. I think Carson's older than Jordan Howard. I think Carson's older than Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard is still hella young, considering how long he's been in the league.
Average.
But he wasn't in Chicago. He was actually phenomenal for his first 2 seasons. Even his third season, he was great. Not
anymore.
Jordan Howard blows my mind. Another person who blows my mind is Lombardi Lenny, Leonard Fournette. Do we all see him go back to the Buccaneers?
Yeah. I don't know how they have any money. They're like the LA Rams of the East Coast.
Is he going anywhere else other than the Buccaneers? That's the question.
No.
Yeah, he's going to test the market. Someone, based on that playoff performance, might just offer him enough that the Bucs can't, that would make him go. But I think he's won it with them now. Why wouldn't he try and go again?
One of the interesting ones.
Do they want him back?
Somebody said that they really thought Fournette was going to go to the Chiefs next year and be the secondary to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to be the 1-2. And I find that a really interesting proposition. Can you imagine he comes back and he does it on both sides? So Captain Hairbear, Philip Lindsay, is the last one on my important list. He got a raw deal for the Broncos last year, and I think he will test the market. He'll get an opportunity. I genuinely see him going to the Jets as a kind of a low impact. I mean, he's a hometown darling, but like the Broncos just showed last year, they don't have any faith in him. I just see him hitting the Jets. I see him being that guy there with possibly Travis Etienne, and just kind of having a bit of a mini committee, but having somebody that's low cost, potential high impact. I just got Philip Lindsay at the Jets. I just see him in Jets green in that emerald. Hoity-toity. Statman, any preference on Philip Lindsay? Raiders?
Yeah, I was literally going to say Vegas. Yeah, I would love to see him back up Jacobs. I think that would be a good little 1-2 punch. But Booker's not going to, I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign Booker. I think he'll fill that role for him. They may not even hold on to Richard either. And he's kind of the third down receiving back. Didn't get a lot of work last year, so I wouldn't be surprised if they look at someone like Lindsay. He's that change of pace kind of guy that would be pretty good, I think.
Villain, any preference?
I can see there's teams that are glaringly missing running backs that could use anyone. And I don't think he's going to go there because he is undersized. He does get injured if he's given a 3-down back role. So he is that receiving back that you want as an outlet. So anywhere that needs that, I as a fan of the Panthers, I'd love him at the Panthers backing up CMC because we are going to need a backup running back. I don't believe that any of the youngsters in there behind CMC are going to be good enough. I could see him going to New England, where they are always looking for an outlet player. And again, I don't think they have huge faith in their running back room. I'm so anxious about having Sony Michel on my dynasty team. It's completely ridiculous.
Me too. Thank you for trading me Damian Harris so we can share that pain together.
Damian Harris is going to
imagine having both on your bench. You're just like, I hate this.
with James White going free agency and possibly not going back to the Panthers, to the Patriots, sorry, I wouldn't be surprised if Duke Johnson ends up going to the Pats, as a receiving back.
I think White re-signs at the Pats. I think he's just got to that point. Yeah. I think he's got to
can't go anywhere now. He's just locked in.
He's Bill Belichick's lovely pair of Crocs. He just slides himself into those and saunters around the log cabin. So actually, James White was on my list of I don't cares. So let's go for other I don't cares.
Clearly, you care a little bit.
No, but Le'Veon Bell, I don't care.
Out of the league.
He's going to fan-owned football.
No, he's not. They don't want him. They don't want him.
They've got Johnny Manziel. They'll take Le'Veon.
They've got Johnny Manziel and Josh Gordon who are on the same team at the moment.
Yeah,
I believe they play.
They play for the Zappers.
They play for the Zappers. I'm a wild.
Don't care about any of them.
I'm a Wild Aces fan, so get over it. Gurley, do we care?
Don't care. No.
Washed. Absolutely.
Let's go to the Chiefs, actually, but no, I don't care.
James White, we just spoken about. The Cole man, did it? No,
he's already retired.
Washed up.
And the villain's other jersey that he's got behind his CMC jersey, Mike Davis. Do we care?
I'd love to see him back at the Bears. I
just want to see him back at the Panthers. Just he did a job this year. Just keep him.
Just keep going,
okay.
He might do.
Exciting players. Wide receivers, they're catchy, jumpy men. They've got to start with the obvious one. Allen Robinson, no way in hell is he staying as a Bear. Where do you think he's going to go?
It's going to be a tag in a trade, wouldn't it? I can't see them not tagging him. They're not just going to let him walk, surely, but they'll have to trade him because he won't want to stay there.
So Villain just said Dolphins. Why?
I just see it like this, him as the lead receiver, giving Tua that really, like, he can't drop, he makes every catch. Tua is going to have that confidence, throwing the ball to him. He's going to make every catch. That means it would be Robinson, Williams, and Parker. And I just think that's so enticing for a young quarterback to have as their receivers there. Not to mention Mike Gesicki as well. I'd love to see him there.
Yeah, a nice crew
to Jacksonville.
Yeah. Like that.
Statman, I've got a place in mind. Where have you got him going?
Same as Villa. I had that one in mind. Jets, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a play at that one as well. And the other one, I think the Giants, New York, I think Jets or Giants would probably make a play for him.
I've got him down for the Jets as part of the revitalization of the Jets. I just think he gets to be a marquee player. And when was the last time the Jets had a marquee wide receiver?
I got an outlier. I think that the Patriots should make a play for him.
Well, I mean, maybe not if Mitch goes over, because Allen Robinson's not having that. I just wanted to play.
No, he's not going to do that. No, not if Mitch is there.
Allen Robinson is as close to a Randy Moss player that the Patriots could sign, and that was the last good deep threat wide receiver they had.
Yeah, I just you've got a feel for.
He's going to go somewhere. He's going to want a quarterback, isn't he? He's had so many bad ones. He's going to try and go. So that's why the Jets is a little bit iffy, because you just wonder who it is that they're going to have.
It would have to be a hell of a sales pitch.
The Giants have Daniel Jones.
Yeah. You had to think. So he's wants to play with a top 5 quarterback. Cowboys haven't got space. Bills haven't got space. Seahawks don't pass the ball and they haven't got space.
Cowboys,
Cardinals haven't got space. So I'm trying to think of another. Can you imagine?
Would he go back to the Jags?
Chiefs.
They got Trevor.
Can you imagine him at the Chiefs?
But actually, the Chiefs really need him. When you look at Sammy Watkins and what he's been doing, if you would swap Watkins out and put Robinson in there, wouldn't that be immense?
Oh, gross. Have we just convinced ourselves that he should go to the Chiefs? Because I don't want to see that.
I would also. I'd like to see him at the Ravens.
Not catching the ball, never throw it.
Or if Watson ends up at the Panthers, and then Allen Robinson.
I wouldn't want Allen Robinson. I really want the Panthers to keep their wide receiver core.
Cool.
DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson. It's just lovely.
Well, that's actually an excellent segue to the next person talking about keeping the core. Chris Godwin, Statman. I know you think he's getting franchise tagged.
Yeah, it's tagged and staying, definitely. Yeah, it's one of Brady's favourite targets. He's not going anywhere.
I don't think he's getting tagged, but I do think he's staying.
Yeah, I think they'll probably get an extension sorted and everything. But if they don't, then tagged and sorted, whatever it is. Yeah,
it's a shame because I think he could make more money elsewhere. But I also think he's seeing the cautionary tale of Adam Humphries and doesn't fancy a bit of that for himself, who is completely free and will obviously be paying for the Patriots. Have you seen Adam Humphries? So everyone's least favorite TikTok star. Juju Smith-Schuster, where do we see him going? I think it's obvious that he will be the Statman's next jersey next year.
Agreed.
I feel like that might... we know they're going to make a play for it. We've seen it in the press already that they're going to make a push for him. But you mentioned Robinson going to Miami, but I think Juju would suit Miami as the kind of player they want.
Just because you don't want him on the Raiders doesn't mean you can force him on Miami there, Statman.
We've had so many Steelers. I don't want to know.
Also, here's my massive issue with Juju at the Raiders. I do see it happening. Juju is best in the slot, but they've got the best slot receiver in the league, Hunter Renfrow, man. Why are they messing with Hunter Renfrow?
I also feel Ruggs will be better in the slot as well, actually. I just
not that Hunter Renfrow.
No, just in general, Ruggs would be a better player if he was in the slot. Okay, that I was going to say Juju to Philly, but the next player is who I have down going to Philly, Kenny Golliday. Okay. I think Kenny Golliday is the wide receiver of the future in Philadelphia.
I think if he goes to Philadelphia, I'm going to be making a big-time trade proposal to the Statman on Dynasty for Jalen because I want that stack. That is delicious. I do see him at Washington, though.
You got him as Washington.
That's good. I like that one.
On the other side. Oh, God, that's delicious.
I think
scary Terry on that is nice. I like that.
I think Golliday wants to be the undisputed number one, and I think where he gets that is in Philly. And that's where I think he'll go.
Yeah. Giants again. Giants is another one because they need a number one receiver, and I think it'd be fantastic there. But I don't think Slayton's the man.
Nobody wants
to play for them. Not while they've got. I don't know. Daniel Jones, is he that bad?
Oh,
he certainly can't run the length of a football field.
Facts. I think we've got enough. Oh, actually, did you have somewhere for him, Villain? Actually, did you both?
No, Washington. It's Washington.
Washington, Statman.
Giants. Giants is what I went for.
Giants. Courtesy of Dr. Bill. He will have a one-game suspension. But where do you see Will Fuller going? I've got him eating some cheese to go with his drugs.
I'll go for that. Yeah. I thought cheese as well. Yeah, that's what I
thought. We've all got to go to France.
Rehab. Yeah.
Come on, Bear.
Is he going to the Camemberts? Is that what he's cheesing?
Oh, that's terrible. I hate it. The Packers. I think the Packers are fed up of not having a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3. I think Alan Lazard is going to take a huge step up, but I also think that it's nice to have that backup plan of Will Fuller making an 85-yard reception every other game. Green Bay's a nice fit. I also don't give a shit. He broke my heart, man. He was only good because of the drugs. What a prick.
I am only good. I'm not really in on Fuller, but I do. The Packers seems like a logical choice. And the only other person I see potentially going there that's not called Will Fuller is Curtis Samuel. I think he plays that gadget role. I could also see him at the Pats because of his gadget ability, or the Saints.
And his history of crime.
Yeah. I could also see Curtis Samuel at Saints because I think he could potentially be a low cap hit kind of change.
You can shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose to Curtis, man.
I don't want him going to the Saints.
No.
So on my list of people, one of these people I do genuinely give a shit about because I want them to leave so badly. Marvin Jones Jr., do you care?
Pats. I don't care, but he's going to the Pats. I think that's an obvious one.
Villain, do you care? No, don't care.
No,
AJ Green, do you care?
Pats.
No.
I've got AJ Green going to the Raiders. Just
Just any old cast-off receiver. Just send them my way, why don't you? Yeah, nice, thanks.
We all know.
I think AJ Green's going to be forced out of the league.
He can go to the Titans. God, he can replace Corey Davis.
I feel like Mayock has got like an almanac from 10 years ago, and he's picking players from it sometimes.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton, do we all think he's leaving the Colts?
No.
Oh,
No.
Screw you guys.
No, I think he might be staying. Yeah, he'll do him. Do him a discount.
He's leaving. I don't care where he goes. I don't care where he goes as long as he's not at the Colts next year. Paris Capital time, baby. And obviously, they've got Michael Pittman Jr. there as well. I think they've got a lot of opportunity that they don't need T.Y. and his broken legs. Sammy Watkins, do we care? I don't think we do.
He's going to the Bucks. That's what he does.
And the last one, because he is a free agent, last wide receiver, but I just want to mention
this is sad.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
He's obviously retiring.
I hope he retires.
One more year.
I just
if he doesn't retire, he's going back to the Cardinals.
Actually, so Villain, haven't you got Andy Isabella?
No.
Oh, you got rid of Andy Isabella, did you? In Dynasty?
I think I traded him to you.
No, I think I traded him. I thought I traded him to you. I don't know where Andy Isabella is.
No one knows where he's gone. Yeah.
Andy Isabella would be the biggest boost in Dynasty if Fitz comes away from it, I think. And I do think he hangs it out. I love Fitz. Unabashed, that guy is Hall of Fame for me.
No one has Andy Isabella. He's on the waivers.
Oh, get in there. Waiver wire pickup. Tight ends.
We mentioned the tight ends, are we? Ooh.
Yeah, there are 4. Hunter Henry stays at the Chargers. He better bloody stay at the Chargers.
Yes.
Yeah, it would make sense. I don't know why he wouldn't, but one of the things that I read about him was he wants to go somewhere where there's a good quarterback. Well, why do you want to go anywhere where you are now?
Yeah,
he's got
a great quarterback.
Justin Herbert could end up being the number 1 quarterback in the league next season.
See, that's
very easy. Very possible.
And that's why he shouldn't want to leave my dynasty team either, because Herbert and Henry. I just don't want to have to think about it. Jonu, where do we see Jonu go next year? I've got him going to the Pats.
Unfortunately, I thought Pats. Yeah, I thought the Pats for him. That's just horrendous.
I've got him in dynasty, so I'm hoping that he goes to the Pats and the Pats get a
Mitchell Trubisky.
Do you know who was great with tight ends? Cam Newton.
So the other place I've potentially got Jonu, but it's actually more likely to be the next person we talk about, is the Panthers. I've written him down later, but the reason Jonu's not coming back, I think they keep Ferguson.
Yeah,
I think Ferguson is the tight end of the future for the Titans. Gerald Evra, I've got him going down to the Carolina Panthers.
Same.
I think he fits the mold.
Okay. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Statman, on Everett?
I don't really think. They keep talking about being a starting guy. He's got. That's one of the opportunities because Ian Thomas is clearly shit. So you do need someone you do need a tight end that can start.
Straight
so
facts.
I guess it fits in. It kind of works. It works for me. Why not?
Do you know what one of the kiss of death is? It's when your coach turns around and go, "I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ian Thomas can do in the off season."
Yeah, find another job. Yeah,
I've got him listed here because Gronk's staying at the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
So Gronk goes where Brady tells him to go.
Yeah,
he's staying there.
Yeah. So the only other two, one, Jared Cook, he's retiring.
Yeah,
I think. Just I think he'll get another year out of it.
I think. I think Jared Cook almost retired last year. I think he's one of the players that stuck around for Breeze's final season. Mo Alley Cox and Trey Burton are both out at the Colts at the moment.
So Colts could be looking, actually. So Jonu, Colts,
I think Mo Alley stays at the Colts. I think he's going to be one of those. Yeah, he's going to be one of those low cost ones. He's
I think he'll end up being one of those legendary Colt players, not a Colts player.
Yeah.
He will be a Colts player, but he will be a Colt player that everyone goes, remember Mo Ali?
Yeah.
Mo Ali Cox, he was amazing. I mean, he didn't do much, but he was huge. And
he's just one of those guys. The other person I had listed down was Anthony Ferguson, who will be a Titan next year. I think he's one of those players, and I hate to just do it on a white guy, but he's just one of those. He's a really intelligent player. He's intelligence over his physicality, and I think that's why Vrabel likes him. But that's just such a stereotype. It's like, and he's a complete gym rat, guys. He's a gym rat. It's just like, no, he's a white.
That Adam Humphries, he's real wily. That Adam Humphries and Hunter Renfrow, wily guys, wily.
It's that thing. I just think Ferguson just showed. I think Jonu's the more impressive player, and that's why I think he's going to get the bigger offer. And the Titans are not in the best space for cap, and they don't need to be spending it on a tight end. They need to be spending it on a pass rusher. And there are some great pass rushers in free agency, but that doesn't come into speculation when it comes to fantasy football, which means we are at the end of the show. That's all we have time for when it comes to free agency speculation. If you enjoyed what you heard, give us a subscribe and a review on your podcast service of choice or the YouTubes. Follow us on Twitter at TFAFP and Instagram at ThatFAF Podcast. And be sure to check out fantasyamericanfootball.co.uk for our latest articles. But for now, it's a big old cheerio from myself, from the Statman.
Cheerio, guys. Thanks for listening.
And the fantasy villain.
Woo! Thanks for watching.
I'm watching. Forgot that. Yeah.
And we will catch you in 2 weeks' time to find out if we were right about any of these free agents. For now, have a good one, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.